Last week, I was listening to a podcast that featured Dr. Ethan Kross. You may know him as a professor at the University of Michigan. You may also know him as the author of Chatter. And let me get you the exact quote that really struck me, and you might find it useful and valuable as well. He says, "If we aim to live free of all negativity, we are giving people an impossible and undesirable goal." And he goes on to tell a story and relating it to physical pain. And there are some people that can't actually feel physical pain, and because of that, they harm themselves in a way that eventually they die from that harm. It was just a really interesting podcast. By the way, it's on the Liz Moody, if you're interested. But what I found fascinating is along the same lines that I teach my clients, he's teaching people the same thing. And in my book, Find Your Voice, Conquer Your Fear, and Share Your Story with Confidence, here's what I say about your inner critic. Because to unlock your fullest potential, you'll need to address and silence the inner adversary, which lives in your monkey brain. I refer to this inner adversary as your inner critic. It's that little voice inside of you that says some not so nice things on a fairly consistent basis. Things like, "Who do you think you are? Why would anyone listen to you? You've tried that before, but what makes you think it's going to work this time?" That litany of nasty grams, that inner critic is relentless unless we work to change it. Now, the reason there's a constant stream of negativity is it thinks it's doing its job. Our inner critic thinks it's keeping us safe. After all, if you never step out on stage, if you never turn up at a meeting or speak up at a meeting or show up at a networking event, you're going to stay safe. You're going to stay in your comfort zone. Well, our comfort zone will not help us reach our goals. So if you never get criticized, you never get mocked, you never get laughed at, hey, maybe that's a good thing. But then again, you're not going to share your voice with the world. So if you avoid leaving your comfort zone, you'll never be able to grow your business. You'll never be able to make new connections or leave a legacy. So the best course of action, in my opinion, is acknowledge that inner voice and make it work to your advantage. So this means you have to make it your friend. Understanding the role of your inner critic is to keep you safe, and you can learn to harness the power of that voice and retrain it. And so you change that critic to a champion. So it's not the critic that's the real problem. It's understanding what's going on beneath those thoughts and shifting them so you can move forward. So I heard it put, this is a great example of a shift. Again, another quote from another podcast. I don't think it was the same one. It might have been the same interview, actually. Think of the nervous energy you get in your body before you step out on stage, show up at a networking event, whatever gives you angst as it relates to public speaking. Think of your body as a high-powered race car, like a Ferrari, right? And that nervous energy, that feeling in your gut, that shallow breathing, that, oh, goodness sakes, that is your race car revving its engine, preparing for an amazing race. Your body is preparing you to step in front of that group. So it's your brain doing its job, is what I'm basically trying to say. And that nagging voice that says, "Don't mess up," can be changed to, "I've got this. And if I make a mistake, it's not the end of the world." Everybody makes mistakes. You watch my YouTube channel long enough, you'll see mistakes. I don't go back and edit my videos. You know that. What you want to avoid is the endless loop of chatter, as Dr. Kross calls it. That chatter, that endless loop, "You sounded stupid," or "Why do you always do this?" that plays over and over, that rumination. And this is where I see many talented people get stuck. So it's not because you lack skill or because you lack preparation. You start believing that negative loop. So again, another book, not my title. Joseph Wynn is the author. You don't have to believe everything you think. I think that's yes. Don't believe everything you think is the title. Start challenging the thoughts that are negative and view them as learning opportunities. And so when the critic says you messed up, the champion says you handled that moment. Now you know how to make it even stronger next time. When the critic says they didn't like what you said, the champion says you offered a different perspective. That's what leadership looks like. So when you hear the voice of that critic going off in your head, I want you to name it, I want you to normalize it, and I want you to redirect it. So here's what that can sound like. Name it. This is just my brain trying to protect me. It makes sense that I'm feeling a bit of pressure right now. That's the normalization. And then redirect it. What's one thing I actually did well? Or what's one thing I'm really proud of? Maybe it's simply the fact that, hey, I showed up. I gave it a whirl. Did it work out like I wanted? No, maybe not. But unless I do the thing, unless I show up at the speaking engagement, unless I show up at the networking event, introduce myself, unless I speak up at the meeting, well, I won't ever know. People feel your energy before you even share a word. So when you create that internal energy that I'm growing, I'm learning, this is going to be amazing, I'm so excited, all of those positive voices in your head. The first time I shared this with an audience, I had a woman in the front row raise her hand and said, "Do you want me to lie to myself?" No, I don't want you to lie, but I want you to challenge that negative voice and move it towards something that's encouraging, move it towards something that's positive, move it towards something that is helpful. So you will continue stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping into the growth zone, and sharing the marvelous work that you are doing. If you know somebody that could use this video, please feel free to share it with them. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel so you get weekly updates.